want to welcome everyone to the public hearings this evening. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the first one up is the public hearing on a resolution adopting a supplemental budget. Assistant City Manager, do you want to introduce the topic? That's what I was going to ask you. I couldn't.
No, not so much.
Sounds a little light. Okay. So I'm going to open the hearing. And those wishing to speak during the public hearing must submit a completed request to speak form to the information desk prior to the beginning of the public hearing, so before now. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. You have 3 minutes to comment. There are lights on the podium. The yellow light indicates you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. So do we have people signed up for this one? Nobody signed up for this one, so I'm going to close this public hearing. And then I'm going to adjourn the meeting of the City Council and convene a meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency. And this is a public hearing on this supplemental budgets. Assistant City Manager?
Yes. This public hearing is to provide the Urban Renewal Agency Board an opportunity to hear from the public on an FY11 supplemental budget. This supplemental budget recognizes new revenues and authorizes other unanticipated changes in legal appropriations. No action is required at this time. The Urban Renewal Agency Board is scheduled to act on this FY11 budget next Monday night, June 27th.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone signed up for this one? Okay, we have no one signed up for number 2, so I'm going to close this. And then I'm going to open the meeting of the Eugene Urban Renewal Agency. I close the meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency and reconvene a meeting of the Eugene City Council. And this one is a public hearing on a resolution adopting the budget. Assistant City Manager.
Yes, this is the FY12 city budget. So this public hearing is to provide council an opportunity to hear from the public on the FY12 proposed budget as considered by the Budget Committee. No action is required at this time. Council is scheduled to act on the FY12 proposed budget next Monday night, June 27th.
And do we have people signed up for this one?
Yes, we have 4 for number 3.
So, bring them up. They're not supposed to have signs in here. What are we going to do about the signs? They're not supposed to have signs in here. You guys know that we're not supposed to have signs inside the City Council chambers, so you need to put the signs away. Your shirts are dandy, but not the signs. Thank you. I think we read them. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak during the public hearing must submit a completed request to speak form to the information desk prior to the beginning of the public hearing. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. You will have 3 minutes to comment. There are lights on the podium. The yellow light indicates you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. The red light indicates you need to stop talking. So, first up is Claire Surratt, followed by Jean Orbison. Orbison? I don't know. Can't read it. Yes. Go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm Claire Surratt. I live at 363 Adams in Eugene, and I'm currently the chair of the City of Eugene's Budget Committee. I wish to thank the city manager and city staff for their hard work in preparing the budget, and to thank you, our city councilors, for your effort working with the citizen members of the Budget Committee to amend and approve the FY12 City of Eugene budget. As you prepare to formally adopt the budget, I hope that you will keep in mind the role that the full Budget Committee had in deliberating over and voting on the budget. I understand that you have the authority to make further amendments to the budget, and I ask that you resist any temptation to revise or reverse the work of the Budget Committee and to adopt the budget that was approved by that committee in May. I ask this as the chair of the Budget Committee, as I believe our committee deliberated and passed the budget in good faith, and that those efforts should be honored. I thank you for your attention to this and your service to our city. And since I have a little bit of time left, I also wanted to note that and thank outgoing Budget Committee member Terry McDonald, who served on the Budget Committee for many, many years, and who now is going to be looking forward to seeing the harvest of those poplar trees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next up is Jean, it looks like Obersener, followed by John Borowski. And I apologize for murdering your name if that's what I did. So.
I'm used to it.
That doesn't make it any better, though, does it?
I'm Gene Obersener, 2923 Dry Creek in Eugene. And I have spent the last 11 years working for Shelter Care, and we work with some of the most vulnerable citizens in society. Thank you for your past and continuing support of Human Services funding. I want to state that we wholeheartedly support the recommendations of the Budget Committee to provide an additional $150,000 to the Human Services Commission. $150,000 will go a long, long way toward empowering those that we serve to strengthen their circumstances and to function more independently. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is John Borowski, followed by Scott Olmos.
Good evening. My name is John Borowski, 2010 Hubbard Lane, Ward 3. Good evening, everybody. I just felt it wouldn't be right if I didn't come down and address you regarding the budget. I was talking to Claire, and I said I could have had 12 minutes in front of you if I had signed up for all of these public forums, but I didn't feel the need. I just wanted to come down and say thank you to staff and to the City Council for all their hard work in preparing, presenting, and debating this year's proposed budget. I think it was a very good process session. I'd like to thank Claire for her leadership of the committee, and again, the finance staff, which on a shoestring has been able to whip this thing all together. I also agree with Claire that the deliberating body of the citizen members in conjunction with the City Council is a very powerful tool, and I would hope you would resist making too many amendments to the budget you have before you. However, if you do feel the need to do that, I would hope that you would let the body and the people of the city know your intent of those motions, so that perhaps we could speak at the public forum before that meeting to help sway you. I mean, if we know what the motion is going to be, we might be able to give some insight onto it. So if there is going to be any motions, that would be certainly appreciated. Other than that, I would like to say thanks again, and we'll do this next year.
Okay. Thank you. Scott Olmos is next.
Good evening, Mayor Piercy, City Councilors, and Assistant City Manager Sarah Maderi. My name is Scott Olmos. I work as a fire captain with the City of Eugene, and I'm also the union president. Work for Local 851, and it's in that capacity that I choose to speak to you tonight. Unfortunate accidents. That's the term that former IAFF President Gary Nada used when he spoke to the Budget Committee in 2005, nearly 3 years after the closing of Fire Company 9. Following the Budget Committee's fateful decision, a vehicle veered off the roadway into the Delta Ponds adjacent to Fire Station 9. It would take over 7 minutes for the next closest fire company to arrive at the scene of the submerged vehicle. The driver did not survive. This document, entitled Standards of Response Coverage, and I quote, provides an analysis of the responsibilities of the department's strategies, operational elements, and the Eugene Fire Department's community risk in which it responds to. The 2005 report states that after the closure of Fire Company 9, and I quote, the analysis demonstrates a response time coverage gap in the area, plus a system-wide drop in reliability and response time performance that can be attributed to the absence of a staffed fire company in that neighborhood. Let me emphasize that there was a system-wide drop in reliability and response time performance. the closure of one of the companies caused a measurable disruption in the response times throughout the city. You have a very important decision to make tonight. The Whitaker Fire Company is the second busiest in the city, far busier than the fire company that was closed in 2002. It is undeniable that this closure will have an even greater impact on the safety of the community and the closure of Fire Company 9. In 2002, the elected officials made a conscious decision to allocate funds elsewhere. The union had informed the city in advance that this was an unacceptable risk that could have had disastrous consequences. As the union predicted, response times increased and the safety of the entire community was put at risk. Since the last fire company closure, the population of the city of Eugene has increased, the number of emergency calls has increased. We should not have to relearn this painful lesson of 10 years ago. Will there be more unfortunate accidents in the city of Eugene due to your actions here tonight? The citizens of the Whitaker neighborhood and the citizens throughout the city urge you to make a safe environment for our community and also for the individuals that you represent. Thank you for your time, and I'll gladly take any questions if you have them.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to thank you all for coming, and I guess I want to just take that time, since it was brought up during this particular segment, to thank the Budget Committee again, and to, in particular, thank Terry McDonald for his service, and thank you, Chair Surratt, for your service. So appreciate it very much. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to echo the Mayor's thanks to Claire for such a great job, and certainly to Terry McDonald for so many years of service. When we, and this is directly to John, I do have an intended motion change, and so I wanted to talk about it. I'll do a detailed explanation of it when we get to the appropriate time to make the decision. But suffice it to say, during the Budget Committee process, there were 3 intended motions that I brought up, and I made motions on 2 of them. The 2 that I made and that passed were on support for the Buckley House and on increasing jail beds. The third was to address the fire staffing issue, and didn't end up making a motion because we couldn't find the right way to do that and the dollars to do it in the appropriate mix. Since then, there have been a number of conversations, and the manager has given me some good information about, and I've talked to a couple colleagues about the idea of there was some leftover money in the police department budget that was going to go towards, my intention was, in conversation with the chief, that might go towards response to some gang-related topics. And that then the motion I passed was to take some extra silt money and put it towards jail beds. Well, we may swap that around a little bit and make some, I intend to make motions that will change the use of some of those motion dollars that passed. The same things will be accomplished, they'll just change, some may diminish, and in the process, I will also add a piece to address the fire staffing issue at Station 2. So I'm hopeful that that will pass when the rest of my colleagues get it, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew it was my intent to make a motion that would change those other 2 pieces and add and address the issue of the fire staffing. Thank you.
Councilor Zelenka.
I'd like to also thank Claire for the fine job as chair this year, and also the rest of the Budget Committee, and also especially Terry McDonald, since he's leaving. Although this isn't the case this time, but once when I was the chair before I was on City Council, the vote was 9 to 7 with the 8 Budget Committee members and 1 counselor in the affirmative, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, that's not going to work when it comes to council. So sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for. I just wanted to make it perfectly clear to everybody that's watching this that we are not closing the fire station in Whitaker, and that's not the proposal. And I had a question that I'd like answered by Monday. This is 27th when we take action on this item. The truck company that's in Whitaker that's proposed for the second truck that's proposed for being swapped out for an ambulance, what percentage of those calls that they respond to are in the Whitaker neighborhood? And I also would support changing the SILT dollars for general fund dollars for the police beds. I think that's a good idea.
Councilor Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank everybody for coming down. A lot of friendly faces in the audience. Nice shirts, firefighters. I also plan to support any motion that refunds to the dollar amount of $317,000 for the fire department that Councilor Clark can come up with. I think that's a Band-Aid fix. It's a one-time, one-year funding. I don't know how we're going to do that, but I'm more than willing to support it. I do appreciate all the work that the staff does on the budget. I think they do an amazing job. I think everybody in the city has given, John, the city manager, gave them a direction to reduce their footprint without reducing positions, and I think all the city executives have done a great job. I'm very proud to be a part of the city of Eugene, but I feel pretty compelled to make this one variance for the firefighters. It's my ward. I'm concerned about equity for my community. I know that I know how hard the firefighters work. I've worked in the ER for many years and don't do that anymore now. But I'm looking forward to Mike's motion.
All right, so we're going to, yes. Pardon? Oh. Councilor Clark again?
Sorry, I just wanted to make one last comment. It's this. There's been a lot of public information about the proposal to change the budget in this way. And I just wanted to say that I'm proud of our fire chief. I think that the staff have a number of challenges in front of them on how to deal with the financial situation of the city, and they're oftentimes asked to create creative, out-of-the-box thinking type solutions, and I honor our chief and his executive team who have tried to come up with creative, elegant solutions under the current financial conditions to address multiple problems. And it's okay for council to have different ideas about that and for us to work through them as a budget committee and come up with other solutions. I think that's the way the process is supposed to work, but I wanted to make sure we're honoring our chief, too, for trying to get innovative and creative with this particular solution. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to, I'm going to adjourn the Eugene City Council, convene Eugene Urban Renewal Agency, public hearing on adopting a budget. Assistant City Manager.
This public hearing is to provide the Urban Renewal Agency Board an opportunity to hear from the public on the FY12 proposed Urban Renewal Agency budget as considered by the Budget Committee. No action is required at this time. The Urban Renewal Agency Board is scheduled to act on the FY12 proposed budget next Monday night, June 27th.
Okay, we had no one signed up within the time limit that we have in place, so we don't have anyone for this particular hearing. So, pardon? Oh, these?
No, this one.
This one says it came late. Oh, got it. So, all right. That was totally confusing to me. Okay, so, Randy Prince.
I was a little confused, too, and 5 minutes late, and I did not expect you to breeze through the regular budget. But this item is relevant to the Urban Renewal District, the purpose of which is to revitalize downtown and provide important services. I think it goes beyond brick and mortar. Telecommunications, good telecommunications, a lively modern city is part of what the Urban Renewal District goes for. I don't think there is anything in that budget. I've looked at it for that purpose. The irony is, though, there's a lot of money for telecommunications in this town. It's collected as a special tax and put into a special fund called the Telecommunications Fund. Nearly $9 million is supposed to go into that fund. It is dedicated to projects of widespread community benefit. Some are used in-house, and some go to outside providers. In the beginning, there were many such projects, such as hotspots for Wi-Fi around the library and other things like that. Over the last number of years, we have seen the projects evolve to be almost exclusively for city department benefits. Fiber optic out to the new police station, relocation of operations within the city hall. But that's not my problem with the abuse of the telecommunications funds and the unavailability of those for urban renewal purposes. The problem is with the general fund transfer that was initiated in 2010 when I first learned about this, when we were told that $30,000 for neighborhood associations to disseminate information to the people would not be available because that fund was pinched. On looking into it, I found out that $500,000 was to go to pay the regular phone bill for the city. Well, that didn't strike me right, and I looked into it some more, and I found that the ordinance is specifically limited to projects like I've mentioned and projects like our neighborhood services, our neighborhood association needed. The explanation I got was that one council can't bind future councils in their decisions about spending money. Well, you know, the federal government doesn't have to necessarily have all of the Social Security funds set aside in a specific bank account and available for immediate payout, but they do have to pay out the amount that is to go for benefits that were promised. We are not paying those out when we take out $450,000 plus $52,000 additional for administrative costs for a general fund transfer to pay a routine operating cost. The memo that was specifically referenced in 1997, that ordinance that was subject to years of lawsuit by the telecommunications companies on behalf of the customers, the citizens, the people, says this is not to be used to replace regular property tax revenues. This policy is now proposed to continue for a third year. I think it's clearly illegal. And it's against the wishes of our citizens to have their taxes used contrary to what the law was put in, the promises that were made. Please look over the record of where the money is going, but particularly look over the record of this general fund transfer. It's illegal, and I think that you're going to wind up owing a lot in legal bills defending it.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and thank you. And then Councilor Zelenka.
City Manager, can you look into that issue that Mr. Prince brought up and respond to it in our next packet, please? Sure. Thanks.
Okay. So now we're going to adjourn the meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency and reconvene the meeting of the Eugene City Council. And we're at public hearing item number 5, an ordinance concerning amendment of animal regulations. Assistant City Manager.
Yep. The council last month held a work session on proposed changes to city code to provide stronger sanctions for attacks on service animals. The recommendations came to the council based on the work of the Accessibility Committee of the Human Rights Commission in response to local incidents. At the request of the council, staff have talked with Lane County Animal Services about providing different tags to licensed service animals to make the distinction clear. This public hearing is an opportunity to hear about that.
Thank you. Going to open the public hearing, and we have one person wanting to speak during the public hearing who submitted a completed request to speak form to the information desk prior to the public hearing. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and your ward if you know it. You have 3 minutes to comment. There are lights on the podium. The yellow light indicates you have 15 seconds to complete your comments. And the person who wants to speak to us is Heather Merlin. Heather.
Good evening. My name is Heather Merlin. I live in St. Helens, Oregon. I did grow up in Eugene. I'm here representing the Willamette Valley Assistance Dog Club as well as Oregon Assistance Dogs. The concern that the service dog users that I have spoken with is not about a special tag that helps give a distinction between a service dog and a pet animal, but the number and frequency of interference of pet dogs with the service dogs and the lack of response by the police department in dealing with these incidents. Every service dog user that I spoke to has had some level of interference with their service dog by a pet dog, and all of them felt like the incident was not dealt with in an appropriate manner. The overall feeling is that an attack on a service dog is an attack on the handler themselves, and that that's how this attack should be viewed by the owner of the pet dog, so that leash laws can be strictly enforced, that any injury to a service dog by a pet dog is dealt with in the same manner that a car accident is dealt with, and that safe dog handling or responsible dog ownership classes be made available to the general public and required by any pet owner that has had their animal attack a service animal. Also brought up was prevention, that pet dog owners are not informed of appropriate methods in which to control their animals that are also convenient and readily available. Dog training classes, where even to register a dog. A lot of pet owners ask me that. Where do I register my dog? How do I get tags? These are questions that we are asked consistently. How do I get shots? What public services are available to pet dog owners to help them maintain a safe environment for their animals? And in increasing education and public services to those pet dog owners on how to maintain safety for their animals, as well as stricter consequences for pet dog owners that irresponsibly allow their dogs to interfere and or attack a service animal. These changes must be made for the safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have documents I would like to submit.
So with that, I'm going to close this, close this public hearing. See if there are any comments to be made by any counselors. I don't see any. So that actually ends our business for this evening. We thank all of you who have attended. Thank you for making your concerns known to us. We appreciate it very much.